62.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Big Red Live. I'm your host, Josh. Joined with me is Coach Tom Harper and Coach Michael Ramsor, head coach of the Fred T. Ford Tigers. Before we go ahead and get started tonight, I wanted to go ahead and give a shout out to Coach Harper for his birthday. Just say happy birthday to Coach Tom Harper here, the legend.
Send presents and money.
Happy birthday, Coach.
Thank you, brother.
Well, Coach Ramsor, your team comes off a playoff home victory on Friday night. I just wanted to tap into your brain real quick and ask, what are the initial thoughts?
Just very excited, man. Very excited for the community. Very excited for our players. To have that experience, that high school experience, and hopefully we take a little boost off of it and go play well this Friday.
I know it's a long time coming for the Fred T. Ford community. And I just wanted to ask, this community is very prideful about their football team, and I've seen it firsthand, and you've talked about it. How much does this community mean not only to you, but the program itself?
Ever since I came here, I seen the support the community give, even when we won 0 games to, now winning 5, they've been very involved. They're at the games, they're cheering. Our student section is in it. So I'm very happy with that, man. And it's a lot of pride. It's a lot of pride. So you definitely want to go out and try to give back to the community.
Coach Harper, I know you mentioned that you would experience that firsthand as well while you were at Fred T. Ford. Would you like to expand on that a little bit?
I just want to let Coach Ramsor know that I've been in his shoes. I understand what goes on with building a program, and you can't find any better support administratively. You can't find any more support publicly than the Fred T. Ford High School people. It's just a special place. I took that job. Had a lot of people tell me that's not the place you want to go. Coaches go there to die, is what I heard, and I did not agree with that. We actually went to the playoffs, I think once or twice while I was there. It's a place you can win. It may not be every year, but you're going to find kids that are special and want to compete. And winning can't be the only objective in high school. It's about building people. And obviously that's what Coach Ramsor has done at Fred T. Ford, and I commend him.
Thank you.
Well, Coach, one of the biggest talking points this year was the turnaround of this football squad compared to last season. Last season ended off the season with that big win to end off the state's longest losing streak, and then you build upon that by this year going 4-6, hosting a home playoff game, and then getting a home playoff victory. What do you think has made the difference from this year to last year in the program?
Just putting in the work, and bonding and getting that chemistry. This summer, we went down to Wingate for a team camp, 7-on-7. The guys did a great job there, and I think it was a great bonding experience. They come back, and we made sure we got in the weight room, man. This summer, we really try to work hard before we went out to get in the weight room and try to get stronger. The kids did a great job with that. And also my seniors, man. My seniors buying in, knowing, how kind of Coach Ramsor will work and how we're going to do things, what it's supposed to look like. Them just understanding that and taking on that role, I think was the difference.
Talking about your seniors for a second, would you mind wanting to expand upon that? Who in this senior group has stepped up into a leadership role and helped kind of turn the tide here for the Tigers this season?
I think the first one is Jackson Dentel, number 44, plays linebacker and fullback for us. He stops by my office almost every day, and I think he's just trying to pick my brain and kind of see where I'm at. But he's really stepped up, offensively and defensively. He's a team captain, and he's out there. He's making plays. He's making plays, and he don't just talk it. he's a hard worker, man, hard worker. So he's definitely one. Um, and then you got Tyler Greer, plays corner for us. And kind of like I said before, those guys have been with me. All they know is Coach Ramsor. So I've been the head coach for their 4 years. And Tyler has stepped in and has played well for us. We probably need to get him a little bit more on the offensive side of the ball, but he does a great job and he take pride in what he's doing.
It sounds like you have, after 4 years, you've built up some relationships that are the cornerstone of your program. Your kids know you, you know them, they know what to expect, and they rise to the occasion, and thus more success. Is that what you're
Yes,
trying
sir.
to say?
Yes, sir. I mean, you hit it right on the head. Those guys really know, and I tell them all the time. Just from my experience, I know what it should feel like. I know what it should look like. And so you got to trust me on that. And I think really this year they're starting to trust me. So we had to stop practice at times where I say this is not it. Take a breather, take a 5-minute break, 10-minute break. But the way we're working right now is not the way we need to work to be successful. And I think they bought into that, and it's been a couple times where the seniors, they just take charge. They get my play script and they go out there and they get on the guys and they out there running plays, so they kind of took charge of that.
Well, when we reflect upon the regular season this year, through the ups and downs, the close games, what was the moment that you felt defined this football team and what the program is becoming under your leadership?
For me, I think it was really early in the season. We went and played Mount Island Charter, and you can start to see the belief. You can start to see the will of the kids. And I said, we may have something, and Coach Harper kind of pointed on it. It may not be in wins and losses, but we got something here, and I felt like they went out and played hard every game, and it was times where we didn't really go play hard. The score kind of get out of hand and, we kind of back down a little bit. But these guys went out and they have played every game to the best of their ability, and it don't always come out our way. But when my biggest thing is go back and watch that film and see how hard we're playing. And I think they have been playing for 4 quarters.
And the bottom line is that's all you can expect from them. Is have they given you your best or their best? Have
Yep,
they given you their complete best? Win or lose, you can't control really the scoreboard.
that's right.
You can control your attitude and your effort. And it sounds like you've got a team that's finally starting to figure that out.
Yes, sir. Yes,
That's
sir.
it's fun.
You mentioned restoring belief. How were you and your coaching staff able to help these kids buy into this new standard and start expecting to win again?
Well, I think, it kind of starts in the staff meeting. Um, you know, it's many times where you're down a little bit or another staff member is down a little bit, and we just remind each other we got to go out and we got to keep chopping wood. Every day we got to keep chopping wood. We can't stop because if they see us stop, they definitely going to stop. So, my staff, I think they have done a great job. You know, even when we went through, a rough patch this year, we went out and we just kept chopping wood, kept working on the technique, kept coaching, and hopefully you start to see those things pay off.
Well,
Coach, tell us a little bit about your staff.
We got Corey Durbin is my defense coordinator. He played here at Ford. I also recruited him when I was at Mars Hill. You got Marcus Greer is our D-line coach. He's been here a little bit.
I think
Um,
a little bit
you,
about Marcus Greer.
you don't get no better than Marcus Greer now. He is, and I get on him all the time. I said, why are you not a head coach somewhere? he has tons of knowledge, tons of experience, man.
No,
If I need anything or I'm thinking about anything, that is Coach Harper. That is the first guy I go to.
sure. And
First guy I go to.
doesn't he doesn't really care to be a head coach. He just
He d-
wants
Not at
to
all, not at all. And he comes and he grinds every day. Coach Anthony Brown coaches our outside backers. He played a little ball at Lenore Ryan. That's kind of how I know Anthony. He does a great job with our outside backers. Very calm demeanor guy. And then we have Coach Eichert. Coach Derek Eichert coaches our DBs. I kind of, I may shouldn't say it on here, but I kind of stole him from Maiden. I've been knowing him for a long time, and he was assistant coach a long time at Maiden. Also was a defensive coordinator at Myrtle Beach Prep. So he came to help me out. I think 2 years ago to help the DBs. Danny Williamson coaches our receivers. He came from Ragsdale.
he's a
Great,
Catawba
sir.
he's a Catawba graduate.
He is a Catawba graduate. Yes, has tons of knowledge, man. Tons of knowledge. Um, if I'm thinking a play ain't gonna work or I need to add a little twist to something, that's Danny, man. He does a great job. I have we call him Stumpy. We have Stumpy. He's my running back coach. I call him Stumpy all the time. I keep Joshua Spiegel. Joshua Spiegel. He's our running back coach. He's also a Ford graduate. He's also a Ford graduate. And those guys, they come and grind every day, man. I hope I ain't missing anybody. We have a lot of volunteers that come and help us out. Byron Farley is a volunteer that comes, and volunteers time, and ex-military guy. Really know, like we talked about, Coach Harper, building relationships, getting to know the guys, learning how they tick. He does a great job with that, and does a great job of helping us out with our football operations.
Sounds like you got a heck of a staff.
Yes, sir. And one thing I like, man, we all gel. It ain't no egos involved. We can get into a argument or disagreement about something, and the next thing we're all laughing together. So I learned that from Tim Clifton up at Mars Hill. The one thing I've always heard Coach Clifton say, sometimes it ain't about them knowing the X and O's. It's about the relationships.
Amen.
Well, Coach, talking about the community, to kind of expand on it, we talk about how the community has rallied around the team this year in a big way. Let's talk about how the impact the community has had on the overall energy of your players and the program on Friday nights.
Big, man. Like I said, they come out and support. We got Mr. Waters, Tony Waters, come out on the motorcycle and lead us out. Everybody's involved, man. Our parents, and like one thing you said, what has changed? Our parents, they're communicating with each other, setting up stuff, whether it's pregame meal or having a little snack after the game, which been huge. So everybody plays a part in it, man. Little bit by little bit, it takes everybody.
Yes, sir.
Well, Coach, the last thing I'd like to ask you is this. When people talk about the Fred T. Ford football program moving forward, what would you want them to say about the identity of this program?
I think the first thing that popped in my head, you see all these posts and you see all these things. I want that to become a norm to where it's not celebrated as much. And I understand, a couple things ain't happened in a long time, but I want that to be normal. I want us to celebrate when we go undefeated or something. So that's the first thing. Second thing is that we're going to come and play every Friday. That we're going to lace them up, and we're going to give you our best every Friday. And that's what I like for them to know.
Well, Coach, you got a big game this Friday heading back to Newton Conover to take on the Red Devils. What is your message to Tiger Nation for coming out and support this Friday night?
Yes, please come out and support. The guys have been working all year. have made a little history here, and they want to continue to show their work on Friday nights. I appreciate everybody that has supported us thus far. Just come out, support, cheer, have fun, and enjoy some football.
Well, Coach Ramsor, we appreciate you for taking the time to come out and talk with us tonight about your program.
One
And
last question.
Sir?
Coach Ramsey, it was nice to see Kevin Barnett get a shot to be the head man at Mars Hill, wasn't it?
You never lied, Coach Harper. You never lied. I was so proud of that moment. But, Tim, great man. When I first got there, I asked Coach Clifton, I said, why are you not the AD by now? And, I would think Barnett would be the head coach. So I talked to Coach Clifton. He said it was time to let it go, and he was going to turn it over to Coach Barnett. Man, it is food to my soul to see how those guys stick together I want to say over 30 years, man. Over 30 years, and they have groomed young men such as myself, man.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't find better than that Mars Hill staff.
Great program in spite of Chuck Pfeiffer.
Hey, Chuck is my guy. I probably shouldn't say this on here neither, but when I played for him, we didn't get along too much. But when I coached beside him, I understand why he did what he did, and one of my biggest friends right now. Once again, he's another guy I call now. Is Chuck Pfeiffer.
You learned from a good one. He is. Well, if there's ever been somebody that builds relationships, it's Clifton, Barnett, Pfeiffer, Surratt.
Surratt, yes, sir.
I know all those guys, and
that is awesome. That is awesome.
So you come from good lineage.
Thank you. I appreciate it. No, it's them, not me.
Amen. I understand. I wish you well.
Thank you.
Thank you, Coach. We appreciate you for coming out, and good luck this week to you and the Tigers.
All right. I appreciate it. Go Tigers.
Absolutely. Have a good night. All right, Coach. Once again, I wanted to say happy birthday to you, Coach Harper. I know you're having a great day today, and I'm glad that you were able to spend your birthday with me when you could easily be doing something else.
No way I was going to miss this, Joshua.
All right, so let's take a look at some of the scores from Friday night on our page. We do have the scoreboard posted for Friday night scores. And Coach Harper, the number one thing we talked about, I think it was last week when we first looked at the first initial look at the brackets, is we come to the conclusion that there was a lot of teams that were let in, and we knew that there was a possibility that there was going to be a lot of games this week that could have blowouts. And as you can see right here, there are a lot of games listed here with blowouts, but there were a couple surprises this week. For example, a 1-9 Wheatmore went to 7-3 West Wilkes and upended them 21-14, which that was probably one of the biggest upsets of the night outside of, I believe it was North Stanley getting a victory over Lexington 24-22. Now, for some of the local games, you had East Burke go to Tuscola and fall to Tuscola 13-6. While if you look at Catawba County Schools, they went undefeated on Friday night, with Bandy's getting a dominant win over South Rowan, Ford getting a close win over Lincoln Charter, Lake Norman Charter, 21-19, and then St. Stephen's and Mount Tabor being one of the best games I've seen in some time, was the Indians coming away with the victory in overtime, 24-23. Coach Harper, taking a look at some of these scores here, do you see the separation between some of these two teams just being surprising, or do you not see this being surprising at all?
I don't think it's surprising. I think we kind of saw it coming with some of them. Some of them, we thought it was going to be a blowout, and we saw some teams step up and try to compete a little bit more. But looking at the playoffs, the first round, we kind of knew. And I bet if we went and looked at every one of them, we would say, okay, we saw that coming, we saw that coming. I do want to kind of toot my horn a little bit for St. Stephen's. That's a huge win. on paper, Mount Tabor is probably a better team than St. Stephen's, but St. Stephen's has intangibles, qualities that you can't really test, but their toughness, their perseverance, their grit really paid off.
I want to give a shout out to Coach Kyle Lohman and the coaching staff over at St. Stephen's. Not only was this a signature win for St. Stephen's on Friday night, but it was the first home playoff victory at St. Stephen's since 1991.
You just don't, you usually don't hear the statement St. Stephen's is going into the second round of the playoffs, and you don't hear them beating a team like a Mount Tabor who has a rich history and tradition of being very good at football. And that's a huge win for them. And I hope that it is something that will give them momentum going. Now, they got a tough one this week because it's Watauga, and they about had Watauga beat in the regular season. It'll be interesting. I hope to goodness that the kids go in thinking we got a chance and not just give up before the game even's played. But they have a formidable opponent, so it'll be interesting.
Well, I knew Friday night when I was looking at the games, there was 3 games of interest that I had on my list, and that was Mount Tabor, St. Stephen's, Lake Norman Charter and Ford, and RS Central at Wilkes Central. I knew somebody was going to be at the Ford game, so it was between RS Central and St. Stephen's, and I am very grateful I chose the St. Stephen's game because it's not often that you could say you saw a first-round playoff game that went to overtime and was decided that the way it did. And I want to give credit to St. Stephen's for the way they played that game on Friday night. It was not like the most perfect win in the world. They made it a messy, sloppy game on both sides of the ball. But, really good teams find ways to win those messy, sloppy games. And they did the 2 things that didn't hurt them the most, which is they didn't turn over the football and they didn't commit a lot of penalties, which is something that Mount Tabor did. They committed a lot of holding penalties. They had a couple of interceptions and I believe a couple fumbles as well. So St. Stephen's won the turnover battle 3-0, and that was the big decisive factor. And once again, those penalties played a big factor for Mount Tabor as a holding penalty on the potential 2-point conversion that won the game, backed Mount Tabor up on the extra point, and the kicker barely missed the extra point. It was just wide left.
Those are called unforced errors. In other words, it's not somebody – you're hurting yourself when you do that. And any good high school team, regardless of the sport, doesn't want to inflict pain on themselves. They don't want to cause issues by making mistakes and doing things that are going to hurt you in the long run. Anytime that you cannot hurt yourself like that, you're a disciplined program who is going to be successful because you're not hurting yourself.
Looking at some of the other scores around the area, according to one of our friends, Kyle Anthony Zumbach, he says that on Friday night, West Iredell defeated Ashe County 45-0 at West Iredell. And from what we reported, he said that was the first time West Iredell had won a home playoff game ever.
I could not believe. I thought West Iredell would win, but not 45-0 win. Obviously, either one of 2 things is going on there. West Iredale's better than we thought they were, or Ashe County should have never been in the playoffs.
Yes.
Which one? But I'm happy for Coach. I think it's Sean Fitzgerald. Am I correct?
Yes, Coach Fitzgerald.
Great guy. Got a great idea of what high school football is supposed to be about. And he paid his dues at Lake Norman High and has really done a great job with West Iredell. And, I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know who they play next, but if they play like they did last week, look out.
We got some interesting games coming up this week to start off with round 2. Give me a second to pull this up. I'm going to take a look right here, right now, at some of the games this week. But more importantly, looking at it right now, as I just lost it. All right, so looking at round two games for the 1A bracket, you've got Andrews at Robbinsville, East Columbus at North Stokes. This was the game that we talked about previously, East Columbus and North Stokes, where East Columbus would have to travel 3.5 hours to Stokes County to take on North Stokes. And it's actually something that you see in, I think it was the 7A bracket where you have Jack Britt playing a team in the western half of the state, and they have to take a 4-hour road trip as well.
Those games supposed to be on this right here? Because I can't see them.
Oh, there we go. Rookie mistake, Coach. Rookie mistake.
No problem.
Uh,
Let me see.
I appreciate you for catching that, Coach.
I'm here for you, brother. I'm here for you.
Looking at the 2A bracket, one of the notable games to look at would be Swain County and Community School Davidson. Swain County was one of the teams that upended Mountain Heritage earlier this year, so that's definitely a team to look out for there in that 2A bracket. And
It'll be interesting to see what Cherryville can do with number 2 Starmount.
Now, you get to 3A, this is where you start seeing the most interesting games on the slate. For example, number 9, Hendersonville, and number 8, Lincolnton. And, Coach, I think one thing we're going to be looking at under a microscope this week is how these top 8 teams do this week, having that bye week. I know one thing you said is that having this bye week could be a bit of a distraction for some of these teams and could be hurting some of these teams that have been on a roll.
Well, as a head coach, I never wanted to get my kids out of their regular routine. Anything different was a change in the routine. And last week, they had to take, because they had buys, they had to make change. They had to make change in the routine because they didn't play. So that always worried me. I always just didn't want change in their routine. Now, and that's the interesting part of it, that I would venture to say that a lot of the coaches in high school now feel the same way I do, and Coach Mack felt about that way too, is that we just didn't want to get them out of their rhythm. So it'll be interesting to see.
Looking at some of the other notable games in the 4A bracket, this is where we're going to start seeing.
I can't see it. Can you enlarge it, please?
Yes, I will.
Perfect.
When you start looking at these 4A through 6A brackets, you are starting to see some teams that have got some familiarity with one another, and you're starting to see sort of some rematch games going on. For example, number 18 RS Central at number 2 High Brighton, and then you also got number 14 Fred T. Ford visiting the number 3 Newton Conover Red Devils. So as this bracket continues to play out, you're going to see a lot more of these teams with some familiarity starting to play each other, especially in that 4A bracket, since you got a lot of more area teams kind of put it in that 4A bracket.
I had the opportunity to see Bandy's play Hickory the last time they played, and Bandy's has got some good football players on their team. And it'll be interesting to see how they play against number, because you always want to try to find that 8 versus 9, or, this is almost like March Madness. You're just trying to figure out who's going to be the upset, and right now, Bandy's, I would think, has a good chance to beat number 7 Kramer.
Yeah, and you look at it from this standpoint, Bandy's is a really good football team, both sides of the ball. And with the way that they performed in conference play, there was a couple of weeks that they didn't have their starting quarterback, so something to take into consideration. But Bandy's, you could look at them as a potential dark horse in this 4A bracket to potentially make a deep run.
Amen.
In the 5A bracket, a couple games to look out for this week. Probably Oak Grove, Northwest Cabarrus. And I kind of don't know much about Montgomery Central and Hickory. Hickory is obviously going to be one of those teams that will be in that conversation to make that deep playoff run. But it looks like from the standpoint of this, if you look at the 5A bracket, You see a lot of familiar teams that we've talked about all season have been primarily dominant, specifically South Point, East Lincoln, Crest, Hickory. And you see those four teams, and you're thinking that's a possibility. We might see these teams probably in round 3, maybe even round 4.
I agree. But you never know who it's going to be.
Yes.
I tell you right now, Montgomery Central is a team that used to be two different football teams, East Montgomery and West Montgomery High School. They came together and consolidated into one high school, which is now Montgomery Central. Now, you take two football teams and you make them into one, you're going to have some players. So it'll be interesting to see, because I'm sure they got players. Hickory is very good. And I'm not saying they're going to lose. I'm saying that Montgomery Central will have some players on their team, and it will be competitive.
Looking at the 6A bracket, one of the games that I definitely have marked as a game to watch, AC Reynolds heading down to Charlotte Catholic to take on Charlotte Catholic.
Oh, that's going to see, there's that number 9 versus number 8.
Absolutely. And the thing about it is AC Reynolds has been one of those teams this year that you just look at and you're like, one week they look really good. The next week they're just, it's just like the streak. It's just a roller coaster, ups and downs for AC Reynolds. But coming off a big win over South Caldwell, AC Reynolds looking to build on that. And Charlotte Catholic, this looks like a team that, AC Reynolds could possibly beat if AC Reynolds has a good night.
It's going to be, both of them are traditionally very good football teams. Both of them have a history of playing in big games. That's a game that I wouldn't mind going to watch, because you've got AC Reynolds coming from the mountains, and you've got prestigious Charlotte Catholic, who has won several state championships. That's going to be a heck of a football game, I think. But you just never know. I hope it is, because that's what's good for high school football, is having those big competitive football games.
Yes. Another game I have on my list to look at, Central Cabarrus visit Freedom. The Central Cabarrus team is a sneaky good team. Their record doesn't show that they are a predominantly dominant team, but they've played a lot of really good football teams this year. And Central Cabarrus went on the road in the first round and dominated their opponent, winning 38-10. Central Cabarrus has a really good running back. And one thing that we've noticed, Coach Harper, is in these games this year, there's been a couple games where we've seen Freedom get scares out of these teams that are predominantly a run team. So it'll be interesting to see how the Patriots match up with Central Cabarrus' physicality.
It will be interesting, but I really feel like J.K. Adkins has their team ready to go. I think that it's his second year there. He's instilled in them what he's expecting and what he wants from the team. They have shown that they understand that, because they've had one loss. I just think it's their year.
I have taken a look at Freedom this year, and I have to say what J.K. Adkins has done in just the 2 seasons that he's been there has been just impressive, to say the least. When he first got there, we were very impressed to talk to him when he first got there in his interview, talking about what Freedom needs to do to get better. And then last year, they made that jump from that 3-win team to a 6-win team. Then you see them jump from that 6-win team to a 9-win team. And it seems like this year, Freedom is one of those teams that could potentially make a run here in this playoffs. But we'll see. Freedom is looking to end a playoff drought, which they have not been able to win a playoff game since 2014. So that's something to keep in mind for the Patriots this Friday night.
I hope you didn't jinx them.
Well,
I'll tell you another one that I think is sneaky good game is number 11 Dudley at number 6 Ashboro. And the reason I say that is because Dudley is a perennial state championship team. They've won at least 2 or 3 that I know of. And they may be a little down this year, but you're looking at a team that has a history of being in the playoffs. and knows how that is. So that'll be interesting.
Also, yeah, to add to that, I don't think a lot of people anticipated that Dudley would be an 11th seed. Usually, Dudley's one of those top 5 seeds in their particular bracket. So, seeing Dudley as an 11th seed is certainly a change of pace. But that being said, you can never overlook a team like Dudley. They're always very athletic. They always have a really good football team, and they're traditionally one of those teams that you see make a deep playoff run.
That's right.
Also, another one I wanted to point out too, Kings Mountain and TC Roberson. This is also going to be a really good game. Kings Mountain actually came very close to letting one slip last week at home against Ben L. Smith. They were down 14-3, but they came back to win 28-14. And then you look at TC Roberson; they've had a really good year this year, and they're going to be hosting a playoff game.
That will be interesting. I don't think Kings Mountain has been as good this year as I thought they would be, but teams just seem to do different things in the playoffs, and this is the round that you see some surprises. So it'll be interesting.
Take a look at the 7A bracket. This is the one that I wanted to talk about. Davie County going to Jack Britt. Now, we looked up where Jack Britt was compared to Davie County, and that is going to be a long road trip for Davie County.
That is
going to travel all the way down to Fayetteville to take on Jack Britt.
I believe they'll probably be chartering some buses for that ride.
Be a long road trip there. I wanted to look out for this week, in my opinion, A.L. Brown at Ronald Reagan. These two teams played earlier this season, and it's a big rivalry game between these two teams as they play each other in conference. So I expect that one to be a really good game.
Who won that game during the season? Do you know?
I don't know, but I think it was Reagan.
That'll be interesting. I tell you, another one is, I don't know, Butler, perennial state championship team again, and maybe it down a little bit like than years past, but it'll be interesting when they go play Mooresville. That's going to be exciting environment because those two teams are both understanding of the playoffs and winning, and I won't be surprised if Butler beats Mooresville.
Absolutely. And looking at the 8A bracket, one game I got 2 games kind of circled here. West Forsyth at Mallard Creek, and then Providence going to West Charlotte.
Those two teams are going to be 2 big games, especially Providence at West Charlotte, because that's 2 teams that are in Charlotte and have probably played each other. Are they even in the same conference? I don't know.
I'm unsure too, but I believe that Providence has played some really tough competition this year. I believe they played Gaffney earlier this year and beat Gaffney. So this is going to be 2 really good teams playing each other.
West Forsyth is going to be an exciting game at Mallard Creek because you talk again about 2 perennial winning teams that are tough players in each program. So it's going to be exciting.
And that's all we got for the games this week, but just a quick overview of some of the games that we have going on this week. One of the last things I wanted to do before we go out tonight is we're going to be doing our little coin flip. We're going to do a coin flip this time for our pick and poll 2-way tie between John Beam and Kyle Fox. As you can tell right here, I've got a coin on me. We're going to do a coin flip on that. So John Beam is going to be heads and Kyle Fox is going to be tails. I'm going to try my best to do this without messing it up and make it look as legitimate as possible. All right. And it is heads. So John Beam, you are the winner of this week's pick and poll. Congratulations.
All right, John Beam.
So last thing, as always, our pick and polls are going to be posted later this evening on the page. And we will also be doing the scoreboard challenge as well. Make sure to look out for those as well. And that's pretty much all I got. Coach, you got any last things to say?
I do not. I'm just going to tell you, though, for all you football people out there, the season, unfortunately, is slowly but surely coming to an end. So get out there and enjoy. It, there's a lot of games to pick from, but go watch them and enjoy them because it'll be tough when it's over.
Well, Coach, I appreciate you as always for tuning in and joining in this evening. And once again, wishing you a very happy birthday. It's unfortunate that you have to spend your birthday with me, of all people, but I appreciate it.
That's the pinnacle of my birthday is being able with you, Joshua Dula. I appreciate you allowing me to be a part of this. I enjoy it, and am excited about it every Sunday.
Well, that sounds good, Coach, and I appreciate you as always. Everybody, thank you for tuning in this week to Big Red Live, and we will catch you next week for round 3. Bye, everybody.
See you, buddy.